My breath seemed to be caught somewhere between my ribs. I sat on a cold wooden bench, my fingers gripping my palms so tightly that my knuckles turned white. Behind the walls of the hospital, in the realm of faceless corridors and the endless beeping of medical equipment, my husband was dying. My Eric. 6 months ago, we were just ordinary people, full of plans and unspoken dreams. We discussed future trips, the house we wanted to buy, even names for our as-yet non-existent children. Eric was a man who could work 12 hours a day, making custom furniture, and then come home, find the strength to cook dinner, and ask me about my day. There was always confidence in his eyes that everything would be okay, even when the world around him was falling apart. He was my anchor, my peace. Now, watching him slowly fade away, I felt the ground slipping out from under my feet. The doctor's words still rang in my head like a shot in the silence. Autoimmune aplastic anemia. His own body was destroying his bone marrow, stopping his blood production. His only chance was a stem cell transplant. But there was a catch. Eric had grown up in foster care, never knowing his parents, no idea if he had any siblings. And without any close relatives, the chances of finding a donor were slim to none. Just as tears were blurring my vision, I heard a snatch of someone else's conversation. Two hospital staff members, apparently on break. "You know that guy in the ER, Eric Miller? He's the spitting image of that guy from Pine Hollow. I swear, they look like the same person." My heart, frozen in pain, felt like it was being pierced by an electric shock. Pine Hollow, a small mountain town, just a couple of hours away. Coincidence? Or did it mean Eric had family there? Someone who could be his donor? For the first time in weeks, I felt something I had dared to deny myself. Hope. Fragile, trembling, but so necessary hope. Pine Hollow was exactly as I had imagined it, a sleepy, wooded town where time seemed to slow down. Life moved differently here, more leisurely. As my car rolled down the narrow road, I frantically ran through the possibilities in my head. Could this just be a coincidence? But something inside me insistently whispered that it wasn't. This was a chance. However elusive, Eric had never looked for a family. He had decided that family wasn't something you were born with. It was something you made. But now, family was a matter of life and death. I stayed up all night, sitting next to Eric's bed, holding his hand and listening to the steady hum of the machines. His skin was pale, his breathing shallow. I leaned in and whispered, "I'll fix this, Eric. I'll do everything I can." The next day, I took an emergency leave of absence from work. I had no plan, no name for the man, just his location and a picture of Eric on my phone. It was the craziest idea I'd ever had. I couldn't give him hope that might have to be dashed. I walked up to the counter where an older man was standing. "Excuse me, I'm looking for someone. I don't know his name, but I'm told he looks like him." I held up a photo of Eric. The man stared at the screen, and his eyes immediately widened. "You must be looking for Lucas Henderson. He lives by the cornfields on Route 6. Yeah, they look a lot like each other." My heart skipped a beat. I drove to the house that might hold the answer to all my prayers. The wooden steps creaked under my feet. I knocked. The door opened slightly. A man stood there, taller than I had expected, broad-shouldered, with dark blonde hair falling over his forehead. His eyes, I held my breath. They were the same piercing blue as Eric's. I handed him the phone. This is my husband, Eric Miller. I'm told he looks like him." He stared at the screen, his eyes immediately widened. His face was twisted with confusion. disbelief and something painful. He rubbed the back of his head. Damn it. He looked at me again, softer. Who are you? Emily. I'm his wife. He stepped aside. Come in. He's in the hospital, very sick. He needs a bone marrow transplant. They told us he had no family, but then I heard about you and I just had to come. The man, whose name was Lucas, sat down across from me. He glanced at the photo again and shook his head slowly. I think he might be my brother. Their mother, she wasn't the best mother, to be honest. When Lucas was little, she had another boy, said she wouldn't raise him, signed papers at the hospital and left him there. He was too young to do anything about it, but he never forgot about it. He didn't even know his name until today. Eric searched for his family his whole life. He thought he was all alone. At that moment, Lucas, without hesitation, made a firm decision to help his brother to do the transplant. We left Pine Hollow that evening. The rain had gotten heavier, washing the headlights across the windshield as Lucas followed me in his old pickup. For the first time in months, my heart began to beat a little calmer. The fear was still there, but there was something else next to it now. Hope. Fragile, trembling, but so necessary hope. When we arrived at the hospital, I led Lucas down the sterile white hallways and into Eric's room. He was awake, propped up against pillows, his skin pale, but his eyes lit up when he saw me. Then his eyes narrowed in confusion as his gaze fell on Lucas. For a long moment, no one said anything. Eric's mouth hung open slightly, as if he'd seen a ghost. Lucas stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion, like honey. I think I'm your brother." Eric blinked, and tears instantly began to stream down his cheeks. "Brother?" I stood to the side, watching the two men, strangers yesterday, now blood brothers, look at each other as if they recognized something in their eyes that only they could feel. Lucas's test results came back faster than I could have imagined. The doctors wanted to speed things up because Eric's condition was deteriorating by the hour. Lucas was the perfect donor for my husband. That night, Eric and Lucas were finally able to talk alone. When I walked into the room, Eric's eyes were wet. He looked at me and whispered, "I have a brother. I'm not alone." I kissed his forehead and answered, "You've never been alone." The procedure was scheduled for the next morning. The hours passed incredibly slowly, but eventually it was over. The transplant was a success, and Eric was wheeled into intensive care. I sat by his bed, holding his hand, feeling the warmth return to his skin. For the first time in months, a hint of color appeared on his face. Later, Lucas walked in, looking tired but happy. Eric weakly reached out and grabbed his shoulder. He gave him the second chance. He gave him a family. I couldn't hold back the tears any longer. For months, I had lived in fear and loneliness, but now, sitting between two men who had found each other against all odds, I felt something I had dared not feel for so long: peace. The days after the transplant were like entering a new world, where hope finally outweighed fear. Lucas stayed close and soon became an integral part of our lives. He and Eric would sit on the porch in the evenings, sharing childhood memories. As the months passed, Eric grew stronger. We welcomed Lucas into our family traditions, too. Sunday dinners became obligatory, filled with laughter and quiet gratitude. One evening, as Eric and I walked hand in hand along the leaf-strewn road near Pine Hollow, Eric squeezed my hand gently. "You know, I used to think that being an orphan meant being alone forever, but I was wrong. I have you, and now I have him." I looked at him, feeling the words sink deep into my heart. Family isn't always about blood, Eric, but sometimes it's in them, and that's wonderful. That night, as we sat around a small fire behind Lucas's house, I felt something I hadn't felt in so long, a quiet confidence that we were going to be okay. Life had broken us, yes, but it had also put us back together in ways we never expected. I laid my head on Eric's shoulder, listening to Lucas tell a story from their childhood, and I thought to myself, this is it. This is what healing means. Our story had begun in despair, but it didn't end there. It ended with family and second chances and a found brother and a new life. And as I closed my eyes, feeling the crackle of the fire and Eric's warm hand in mine, I realized something important. Sometimes life gives you exactly what you need, just when you're ready to give up hope.